everybody, today I'm going to give you some tips and talk about some things that you have to know if you're thinking about becoming an au pair. This year I was an au pair in Sydney, Australia for almost 6 months, and there are some things that I wish somebody would have told me before that could have saved me so much stress. And yeah, that's why I'm doing this video. I'm going to divide this video in 3 sections. First, I'm going to talk about all the things that you have to know before you meet the family, then about the things while you're with the family, and the last part are just some little tips and things that I think from my personal experience that are just important to know. So my first tip will be take your application seriously. Before you become an au pair, you have to submit an application where you talk about yourself, your experience working with children, and this takes time because it's a lot of paperwork. You're going to have to fill out so many documents. It's going to take you time to find all these documents and then upload them. So keep that in mind, that it's a lot of work and that this might delay your application process. My second tip will be take the interviews seriously. After you submit your application, you're going to have some interviews with some families that wants to interview you. I remember when I had my first interview, I was like, oh, okay, they want to talk with me, they want me, it's going to work out. I don't have to prepare for this interview, I don't have to think about what I'm going to say because we're just going to talk. But that's not the case. They're going to ask you questions. For example, why do you want to become an au pair? How would you react in a certain situation with the kids? And I remember I just wasn't prepared. I also wasn't so talkative, so open. You know, you have to be as nice as possible and just show the family that you really want to be their au pair. I remember at my first interview I was so sad because it was like the dream family. They were so nice. They had 2 little twin boys and I was in love with them. Then I just noticed that I just messed up the interview and that we didn't connect. My third point will be read the au pair's handbook. Every agency is going to give you a little handbook where all your duties and all your rights are written, and please read that handbook. I don't think it's going to take you more than 15 minutes. And you might think, oh, it's completely unnecessary, I know what my tasks are, I know what my rights are. You actually don't know everything. You're moving to another country, meeting a completely new family, living with them, so it's really important that you are aware about everything. And my last point about this first section will be ask the family any questions that you have. Before you sign up the contract and before you accept being an au pair for this family, you have to sit down and write down all the questions that you want to know. You have to talk with them about your working hours, how much do they want you to work in a week, and you have to see if you're comfortable with that. Also, when do you have to work? Do you have to work on Sundays, on the weekend? When are your days off? These are all things that are very important to know before you signed up the contract. Also talk about your task. What do you exactly have to do? What do they expect from you? What do you don't have to do? Because who knows, maybe you arrive with the family and suddenly you have to do 1,000 things that you didn't know you had to do, and maybe you're not even comfortable doing those things. So definitely talk about it first. So now we arrived at the second part of this video. So my 5th point, I'm going to just keep going with the numeration. Write down your working hours. As I mentioned before, you have to work certain hours per week, and it's really important to stick on to those hours. Family, they will ask you like, oh, can you start a bit earlier today? Can you work a bit longer today? And then you ended up having so much overtime. And this is obviously completely up to you. If you want to work those over hours and you're completely comfortable doing it, then you can do it. So my next point, this is very important. I think it's the most important. You have to learn to set your boundaries. I know it's really difficult because you're living with a strange family in a new country. Maybe this is not your native language, so definitely know how to say no. And also, I don't know how to explain this, but don't do too much at the beginning. Don't start doing more than you actually have to do. For example, cleaning here and cleaning there and helping here and blah blah blah, because you will then have to do it all the time. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're going to help the family. You're going to, if you can do something, do it. If you can clean up here, help here, that's obviously very nice, but don't do it like every day, because then it's going to be hard to stop it and you're just going to end up being exhausted. Be open and conversation friendly. At the beginning, mostly, it's going to be, you know, a strange atmosphere, a weird atmosphere, and it's completely normal because you're in a new home with completely new people. Talk with the family, ask them how their day was, how work was, talk with them about your day and things you want to do. All those little things, you know, mostly small talk, but you know, this I think increase the boundaries between you and the family. And also I think that I noticed that parents really like is when you talk with them about the kids and the kids' development. Okay, now let's talk a bit more about my personal experience and some things that I want to share with you. The lighting is like really bad, right? So first let's talk about the kids' ages. I took care of 2 girls. The one was 2 years old. Well, she was like 1 year and 10 months when I arrived, and then she turned 2. And the other one was 4 years old. And I have to say, kids between the ages of 1 and 4, 5 are so active. And I mean, that's completely normal because they're kids. But if you want to chill a bit, if you want to have like time to breathe, then I totally recommend you to choose kids over the age of 5. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my girls, I miss them so much. I'm not gonna lie, after a day with them I was exhausted. It was like today drained me, literally. But as I said, this is completely up to you. If you feel like you get along better with younger kids, then this is also completely okay. So the next point is overtime. I know not everybody is going to experience to have to work over hours or overtime, but if that's the case, I want you to know that working overtime also means getting paid more. The salary you get for a normal hour of work is not the same as done for overtime. And I mean, this is a worldwide regulation. Also, in a normal other job, you get paid more if you work overtime. In my case, I got paid 9 Australian dollars per hour normally. But with overtiming, that will be like between 15 and 20 Australian dollars. So that's a lot more. So you have to make sure you get paid those overtime hours because you can make money out of it. And my next point is about the agency. You have to know that just because you choose an agency, that doesn't mean that all the families that are in the program are like good families. I mean, you have to think that the agencies, they made money out of those families. They made money because those families are in the program. And sometimes I think they don't check out those families as deeply as they should. So you have to watch out for yourself and, you know, see with who you're going to end up with. And also don't think that just because those families got into the Aupair program that they're like the best role model families and that the agency is just offering the best of everything. That's not the case. And so yeah, the next point is also really important because I don't think that many people are aware of it, but you really don't need an agency to be an au pair. You can save up so much money. For example, in Australia, I met a friend and she went there without an agency. She found her family in a Facebook group. So basically you can find au pair families on Facebook. You just have to search au pair families in Australia, England, America, friends everywhere, and you can find like a family. She also told me that it's obviously not that easy because you have to do everything yourself, all the paperwork and all those documents that you need. You have to make your own research on what you need, and yeah, so that can be a little bit frustrating. And I mean, and now looking back at it, I think I would have done it differently. Another recommendation would be choose a family that has already been an au pair family. This is very personal because of my own experience. I was the first au pair of my family, and I think it's better to have a family that has already the experience, because you have to think, in this case, not just one part you have to get into that situation, but both of you have to learn how to figure out this new lifestyle. In my case, I expected my family to give me like an organized schedule with organized working hours, and that wasn't like the case. It wasn't the end of the world, but still. So we arrived at my last tip, and I finished my coffee already. I was an au pair for almost 6 months, and I have to say that's more than enough. I mean, not because I hated my experience or anything, no. I think some people, they think, oh, 6 months, that might not be, it's not worth it, blah blah blah. It's obviously up to you, but for me, I think after 6 months it was enough. Also because I had like a very busy working schedule. It was a beautiful experience, but still I wouldn't do it more than 6 months. I had a friend there, and she was like with an amazing family. She had also very good working hours, but still she said to me, after 6 months it's more than enough. So we have reached the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like it. If you have any more questions about being an au pair, then write them down in the comments. I would love to respond to them, and tell me if you want to see more videos about being an au pair. And yeah, bye.